David Martin, MMA fighting here with one of my favorite people in the entire sport to talk to. He is now scheduled to fight the Korean Zombie, Sung Jung, at UFC Fight Night on June 19th. I usually call him Dan, but today I'm officially changing his name to Dad Ige. Dan, how is everything?
It's really good, man. Like you said, Dad Ige, full effect. But I feel really good, man. Just I have like a new upbringing in my life. Son has just brought so much light to this world, and as hard as it is, it's just been pure joy and pure bliss. And I'm just excited, man. I'm motivated and I'm happy and I'm in a good place.
Absolutely. Of course, we talked after your last fight, the huge knockout. You asked for the Korean Zombie. Obviously, now you got the Korean Zombie. Your son is born. You've had to have had like the craziest past couple of months. I mean, good Lord. I mean, welcoming a baby into the world, getting a fight main event you wanted, getting that knockout. Like, can you even wrap your head around what the last couple of months have been like for you?
Not really, man, because it's like I never got a day off. Like literally right after the fight, we baby came super fast right after, and I remember getting the call from Sean Shelby maybe like 2 days before my son was born. He's like, "Hey, got a big opportunity. I signed a new deal with the UFC, and they asked me to headline the main event against the Korean Zombie. Originally, it was supposed to be June 26th, but then it ended up changing to the 19th. But either way, I was ready and I was pumped for the opportunity. And like I knew how crazy it was going to be. And I was telling Sean, I was like, man, I don't know what my life's going to be like. And he's like, yeah, it's going to be crazy. And he was right in that sense. But it's crazy in a good way. Like I feel like it's brought in a lot more structure to my life. I had to figure things out quickly because, time doesn't wait for anyone, no matter if you have a baby or not. The UFC is not going to wait for anyone. So I had to figure things out real fast and put things into structure. And I feel like right now I have the best structure I've ever had in my life. And you will see the best Dan Ige on June 19th.
Absolutely. I know this is such a generic question to ask, Dan, because this is going to come up a million times leading into this fight, but I know you will hear it, but I want to hear your version of it, which is we always hear when you have a kid, when you have a baby, that changes things. It changes your motivations. It changes your outlook. It changes what you're fighting for. And obviously to a certain point, you were already doing that because you were preparing for your son to be born. But now that he's here, now that you're raising him and you're in full dad mode, can you kind of give me a sense of like how that is feeling going into this big main event against the Korean Zombie? This is exactly the fight you wanted. But also now, again, you are fighting for something a little bit different.
Yeah. I've never been a guy that like had to find that external source of motivation. I've always been like an internally driven guy. Like I have goals and I want to achieve those goals. But I feel like, now having a son definitely brings a new external source of motivation, a new driver. Days when things are hard or when camp's hard and, maybe I don't want to do something like I know I'm like not only providing for myself, now I'm providing for someone else. I'm providing for my family, providing for Bam. I'm providing for my son and his future and his longevity. And I don't know. In a way, nothing's changed because the goal remains the same. But in another way, like, it's only adding more fuel, and it hasn't taken away. And like some people say, like you have kids and that takes away because that becomes your new focus and your new dream. But like I have the same vision and same focus. I just have more source and more fuel to the fire. So everything's. I feel on point everywhere. My mind is strong. My motivation is strong. My everything, physical, spiritual, mental. I'm 100% just ready to go and fired up. And I can't wait to go out there and put on a good show. And then like when my son's older, I could look back and be like, look, you were part of this fight camp. Like he was born into like being on cameras, like ESPN house filming him. He's a newborn. Like it's crazy. So he's a little star in the making, but right now daddy's got some work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You not that you need my seal of approval, Dan, but I love the name. Bam is such a great name. I was like, as soon as you told me that, I was like, I love that name.
Thank you. Yeah. Bam Bam. I don't know how the name really came about, but my wife's dad called him Bam Bam from day one, even before we knew the sex. So he was calling him Bam Bam regardless. And then we found out it was a boy. So we kind of like, we talked about it and prayed about it, and like Bam just sounded like it felt right. So we went with it, and it totally suits him.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So obviously, Dan, when we spoke after your last fight, the big knockout, you at that point had called, and I know you saw the article, you wanted to fight the Korean Zombie. You said it was going to be the Hawaiian Zombie against the Korean Zombie. And listen, we know how this sport works. You can ask and ask and ask for a fight. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. So how happy were you that you got to call your shot? And this is exactly the fight you ended up getting. Main event, which is what you wanted, the opponent you wanted. Like literally, it seemed like everything you wanted came true.
Yeah, it's everything I visualized. I pictured this fight, I pictured this moment, and everything that's happening right now is something I've put into my visualization, into my daily affirmations, just telling myself like and praying about it and getting pretty much everything exactly what I wanted. So, it's the perfect fight for me. It's happening at the perfect time. And I feel like timing is everything in this sport, of being in the right place at the right time. I'm catching Zombie at the right time. I'm on the come up in my career. I feel like I'm the best. The best I've ever felt, mentally, physically, technically, tactically. I'm really, I feel like I've evolved my game so much, and I haven't really got to show that. So I'm excited in that sense, but I'm also fighting a legend. I'm fighting a veteran, the Korean Zombie, a guy who's been in the top 5 of the world for, over 10 years. And I've been watching the Zombie literally since I was in high school and early college days. Like I was watching this guy fight. I watched his come up. I watched him fight Mark Hominick, fight Jose Aldo, and like he's just a legend. And Frank Yeager and Brian Ortega, he fought all these guys, and he's got a ton of experience. Dustin Poirier, like, dude, this guy's Korean Zombies. I've always been a fan, watching his fights coming up, and here we are now. I have a chance to face him, and I also have a chance to go out there and make a statement and make a big name for myself.
Absolutely. This sounds like it may sound like I'm insulting the Korean Zombie, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form. But when you look at the way this guy has fought and the guys he's fought throughout his career, pretty much if you beat the Korean Zombie, you are a top title contender. I mean, that's just the way it goes. When you look at Brian Ortega, the one guy who just beat him recently, he's now fighting for the title. That's kind of what the Korean Zombie. Now, the Korean Zombie has obviously fought for the title, but basically what I'm getting at is if you beat this guy, it puts you right there. Do you feel like that's this kind of measuring stick fight for you? That you beat him, this puts you right where you want to be in terms of the title contention, because the only guys who have really beaten him, that's what they've pretty much gone on to do.
Yes, 100%. This, as much as this is the fight game, it's a business too, and that's what the Korean Zombie is, a big move in my business, establishing myself as a top 5 fighter in the world, establishing myself as a title contender. You're always like one good fight away from a title shot or a contender, number 1 contender fight. So, this is it. This is my opportunity. I have to go out there and I have to make a statement. I have to put on a performance, especially the fact that he went to a decision with Brian Ortega. Like that motivates me to go out there and put on a greater performance. Like I want to go out there and put on I want to get something exciting, a big finish, a KO, a submission, or a complete domination. That's literally the only way I see this fight. And no disrespect towards him, but he's in the way of me obtaining my goal and my title. And that's all I have to do. I have to go out there and win, and then I'm established, and I'm right there in the title picture as well with the other big names like Max and Yair and Volkanovski and Ortega. I'm right there.
Yeah, absolutely. To that point, when you talked to me about this fight before, you mentioned, and I said it, the Korean Zombie against the Hawaiian Zombie. I'd be lying if I didn't say, Dan, I'm looking at this already thinking this is going to be an absolute war. This is going to be a crazy fun fight. But obviously, in your head, you want to go out there and dominate. You want to go out there and finish this guy. And listen, the Korean Zombie earned that nickname, and it's a very well-earned nickname because the guy gets involved in wars, and it's incredibly hard to finish him. When you look what Yair did, it was this crazy last-second upward elbow you've never seen before. That kind of weirdness. He goes 5 rounds with Brian Ortega. He doesn't get finished, but the guy just refuses to go away. But my point is, at some point, that catches up to you. At some point, those wars catch up to you, and we know the kind of power you're packing. We saw that in your last fight, and we've seen it throughout your career. Again, I know you're expecting an absolute war with this guy, but is there any part of you in the back of your head that's kind of tucked that away to say, I know I can put him away, and I can do it impressively. I don't need the last second upward elbow, Hail Mary kind of shot to do it.
Yeah, honestly, from day one, I've been preparing for this fight. Like, I'm embracing the zombie apocalypse mentality. Like, I am preparing myself every single day for the apocalypse. The apocalypse is June 19th, and I'm 100% ready for it. I'm ready for it right now. And yes, like you said, he's been through a lot of wars. He can take punishment, but there's a difference. And I really think there's a difference in my power and the way I can touch someone and put them out. Like, I've always known I've had that ability. I've never really got to show it except in my last fight. And things are really just clicking. If he comes at me and fights me the way he does and wants to brawl the way he does, like, he will get knocked out cold. There's no like, what if, can he take my punishment? No, he can't take my punishment. And, I'm not going to fight a 50-50 fight with him. Like, I'm going to fight. It's going to be a fun fight, but it's going to be a fun fight for me. I'm going to go out there and put all the pieces together and make it my fight. If I go out there and just do what he does and only do what he does, then, that's exactly what he wants. But I'm going to go out there and mix things up. I can't just, be a pattern fighter. I can't be a guy that's just he likes to set traps. I'm not going to fall into his traps. If anything, I'm going to be the one setting traps. And, it's going to be entertaining. It may be a war, but it may be a one-sided victory as well, because I'm just 100% prepared. I feel ready and ready to go. And, I'm going to take it to him, and I'm not taking him lightly at all. I'm 100% prepared for the apocalypse, and, I have every resource to back me.
Absolutely. We talked before and after pretty much all your fights, Dan, and I know we talked after the Calvin Kattar fight, the lessons you learned in that 5-round main event, your first main event in the UFC, and then coming out of that, becoming a better fighter, adding new tools to the arsenal, and then coming back and doing what you did in your last fight, and now you get another main event. Obviously, I'm taking zero away from Calvin Kattar. I'm not making this sound like it's a knock on him, but do you feel like the Dan Ige we're about to see now on June 19th against the Korean Zombie is a much different fighter than the guy who fought Calvin Kattar in a main event, a year ago?
1,000,000%. I've grown everywhere. I've grown in my technical aspects. I've never really been a technical fighter. I'm a technical fighter now. I really am. I measure things. I see things differently. I aim and I fire and I hit the target. And I've increased my volume everywhere. My wrestling has gotten so much better. My jiu-jitsu has gotten so much better. My top pressure, my scramble ability, my footwork, like, everything is just on point. And most importantly is my confidence. My going into the Calvin fight, it's like, yeah, you have to put on this fake confidence because you're getting these opportunities. And it's like, okay, a 5-round main event, here you go. And, like, I have to play the part and I have to act the act. And, I wasn't 100% sure, like, especially given the preparation, like, can I really go 5 rounds at my hardest and give it my all? Like, I didn't know at the time. And then at the time when I fought him, like, I knew in that 5th round, like, I knew I was losing the fight, but I also knew I was going to be better from it. And I'm confident now. I didn't have that confidence before. Now I can walk with confidence. Like, I know where I can push myself in a 5-round fight. I know where to hit those RPMs, and I know when to push that 7,000 RPM. I know when to hit that red line. And I'm just learning so much about myself and my growth as a fighter. And, everything happens for a reason, and things happen at certain times to build the fighter that I am today. And, like, going through my UFC debut and losing, going on a 6-fight win streak, then then losing a decision to Calvin Kattar, and then just refocusing on my growth and coming back and getting a brutal knockout against Gavin Tucker. Like, this has all created the fighter who I am today, and it's all added to the value and to the name of Dan Ige. And I just feel like I am a completely different fighter than when I first fought Calvin Kattar or when I first fought any guy. I'm a completely different fighter and completely different beast. So I can't wait to go out there and show that. You know, I'm talking it now, but I have to go and back that up. And I just can't wait to have the chance and the opportunity to go and back it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know it feels like, I mean, like I said, this fight feels so perfect right now because obviously the Zombie is still a top ranked guy. Obviously you're a top 10 guy as well. But you also look at your resume. I mean, beyond this fight, you go with the knockout over Gavin Tucker. Then you also, you hold a win over Edson Barbosa. We just saw what he just did. I mean, the guy has looked, unstoppable. You're the guy who stopped him. You're the guy who beat him. So, I mean, right now, this is a big win for you. You go out there and you beat the Zombie, puts you right in position where you want to be. And I know you're not looking past him in any way, shape, or form, but you beat the Zombie. There's only going to be a handful of potential opponents in front of you at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I go out and everything is like, this is my destiny. I go and beat the Zombie. Everything is there for me. Like, I'm one fight away, perhaps even a title shot. You never know. Like, in this day and age, like, if I go out and put on a great performance, that could get me a title shot with the way the division plays out. You never know. My focus is the Zombie, and I'm 100% focused on that, but I'm 100% focused on winning. And I know winning will earn me the next step. It may earn me a number one contender match. It may earn me a title shot. At the end of the day, I have to go out there and win. And it'll put me right in the top 5 with you have Max and Yair fighting, and you have Brian Ortega and Volkanovski fighting. I'm the first fight. I'm the first one up. So I have to go out there and I have to, I feel that pressure to where I have to make the big splash. I'm the first guy to jump off the cliff. I'm the one out there that has to go out there and put on that show and raise everyone else's level to go out there and put on a great performance. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens after I fight, after Max and Yair fights, and after Volkanovski and Ortega fights. We'll see what's going to happen. And my main goal is just to go out there and establish myself as a contender.
Absolutely. Let me ask you before I get you out of here, Dan, those two fights, I know you're always going to be slightly biased towards your Hawaiian Max Holloway, but I want to get your kind of breakdown. What do you think of that fight between Max and Yair? Because again, I know we've said this before, it would be kind of like a nightmare and a dream to have to fight Max Holloway, because obviously there's a lot of love there, being from Hawaii, kind of you're running around the same circles, but knowing that beating Max Holloway, would pretty much cement you getting a title shot or however it would work out. But do you lean one way or the other in that fight in terms of Max and Yair?
No, I have it for Max. I just think he's, as good as the striker he is and as good as the striker Yair is, like, Max has more tools. Max can mix it up. His boxing's better. His kicking, like, his phenomenal kicks. And his wrestling is good too. People underestimate his wrestling. The kid can wrestle, and he has good jiu-jitsu. So I just feel like Max can dominate that fight wherever he chooses. And yeah, you're right. It is bittersweet that, it's becoming possible that I may have to face Max Holloway down the road, because Max, he's a brother to me. I love him. He's a fellow Hawaiian. He's someone I looked up to. I trained from, I remember he was 4-0 and he just got into the UFC, and I was still an amateur, and he was very helpful for me. The guy's cornered me in a handful of my fights coming up. When I was coming up the ranks just as an amateur and early pro stages, like he helped me. And, but at the end of the day, like, that's almost an awesome thing. If you think about it, you're going to have two guys at the top of the division who are both from Hawaii. That's no better. There's no better way to represent Hawaii than having two of the best fighters come in. Eventually me. I mean, I'm not out there trying to lobby for a fight against Max, but I know he's going for the belt and I'm going for the belt. And, if it ever did happen one day, it'd have to be in Hawaii. It would have to be.
I know we talked about it for years. It still breaks my heart we never got to see BJ Penn headline a Hawaii card, because I've been I know I've had this conversation with you in the past. I went to Rumble in the Rock back in 2006 for the welterweight tournament when it was Jake Shields and Anderson Silva and all those guys. And I've said the Hawaiian crowd was my favorite crowd of all time. Like, it was an amazing crowd. I'm still bummed, obviously a little sad BJ never got a chance to fight in Hawaii for the UFC. That would be huge. I mean, you and Max, and again, I know you're not calling him out or anything like that, but again, it could happen. Good Lord, how huge would that be?
Yeah, it would be awesome. It would, it would be just a crazy, like, his high school and my high school, like, they're almost like, well, my high school, the Cuckoo Red Raiders, like, I feel like they're kind of rivals with everyone as far as the football community, because football is really big in Hawaii. So, like, if you just go type in like Cuckoo Red Raiders versus Waianae versus his high school, like, state championships at the Loa Stadium, like, there's a huge crowd that shows up for both sides, and that would just be absolutely insane if we got the high schools involved. But like I said, I'm not out there. I'm not lobbying for the fight, but he's in this to be a champion, and I still believe he is the champion. Like, I believe he beat Volkanovski, and then it is what it is. He moved on and got another dominant win after that, but he's I still feel like he is the champion, and man, that would just be insane. But yeah, he's a friend of mine. I'm not trying not to call on my friends, but that's what you do in Hawaii. So sometimes you friends, you scrap and you shake hands after and you go grab a poke bowl after.
I love it. I love it. And the other one, just real quick, I want to ask you about is the Volkanovski Ortega fight. In a lot of ways, I feel bad for Alexander Volkanovski because, technically he has 2 wins over Max. The first one I believe was legit. I thought he did win that fight. The second one, I'm with you. I thought Max won. But again, that's absolutely nothing against Alexander Volkanovski. I just scored it for Max. He's kind of had this like cloud hanging over his entire reign because so many people believe Max, is still the true champion. But this is a fun matchup with Brian Ortega, and I'm curious your thoughts on that one as well.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I do feel like he hasn't truly gotten the respect as a champion that he deserves. But he's a dominant fighter. He's a very smart fighter. And, so is Brian Ortega. And Brian Ortega is well-versed everywhere. He's dangerous and he has a finishing ability. It's really kind of hard to say, but I would have to lean towards the champ. I would have to lean towards Volkanovski. I wouldn't be surprised if Ortega had, caught him with something, caught him with the punch or caught him with the choke. Like, it wouldn't come off as surprising, but as far as points in like a technical fight, I think, and a tactical fight, I think Volkanovski has all the tools to go out there and beat Ortega and, win a 5-round decision. I don't really see him finishing him, although it is possible. He's explosive and he packs power and he could catch him, but I just don't really see that. But I can't see him winning a dominant decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dan, I always appreciate the time. I'm saying this at the end of like a 20-minute interview, but I'm saying like this is one of those fights with you and the zombie. Like, I feel like we don't need to talk about it. Like, it's just one of those fights where we know it's going to deliver. We know what's going to happen. No words needed, but obviously I appreciate you doing the interview because good Lord, I'm so excited for this one. Congrats again on the baby. Congrats on Bam. Hope you and the family are doing well and, have a good rest of your training camp. Obviously I would say safe travels to the fight, but you can probably walk to the fight from your house. Thank you as always for taking the time, man. And I really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Damon. Yeah, for sure, man. It's always good talking to you. A great face in the MMA community and a great voice. So, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you, brother.
All right, man. Talk to you soon, okay?